Hi everyone. So starting today with the overview of where in the curriculum my project kind of takes place is I'm bringing you here to this website. It's called New Visions for Public Schools, and it's the greatest resource that I've found for material, like lesson material and curriculum sort of information that I could need. So when you go to curriculum and instruction, it takes you to this tab that has math, science, English, stuff for middle school students, and I'll of course be clicking on the social studies link. And so it essentially has all of the units that you need for ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade sort of broken up. And so for my final project, I decided to go to the Cold War era, not necessarily focusing on the actual war aspects, more about the social movements that occurred throughout the time. So when you go to any of the lessons, sorry, let's go to Cold War. When you go to any of the units, it has a whole overview of what you're doing in the unit, and it also has all of these resources that you go through, and there's different activities and there's video clips. If you click on something, it's a whole entire sort of lesson, and there's documents and primary sources and all of the questions that the Common Core and the New York State Regents Board are looking for you to go through with your classes. So I'm sure it's similar for all the other subjects, which is really, really great as a resource. What it also gives you is a pacing calendar. So it has every single month and what you should be doing when. It even has the holidays built in, so you know sort of where you're supposed to be. And this isn't always entirely accurate. Some schools do different things, and that's totally fine. And so where I'm doing at like the Cold War era, as I always have experienced, both being a student and watching, observing all of my other classes and working in a school, is that the Cold War and like the modern day American history stuff sort of gets rushed together in an attempt to get it done before we start Regents Review. So I really like this calendar, and I think if I ever do teach a US history class, it's going to be really helpful for me to kind of keep track of what I'm doing. And of course, it wants you to use the lessons that are associated with this, and I think that that's really helpful. So anyway, my project is about, again, the social movements of sort of that Cold War era civil rights movement, the women's movement. What I'm going to use kind of touches also on the LGBTQ movement as well. So it's a really great opportunity to kind of parallel present day America with the decades that all these social movements occurred in. So I'm creating a project for my students where they're going to kind of compare and contrast the two. And what happens is they're going to watch a video assignment from Edpuzzle, and they're going to go through that. So before I show you Edpuzzle, I will show you my school district is awesome. They have the standards and everything kind of laid out right for us. So they have the Common Core standards for reading, writing, and kind of presentation. And then they also have like the learning standards and the content that they want you to cover. So I'm going to be covering down here. So my project sort of covers these two standards right here, talking about the social movements of the time. So with Edpuzzle, what you do is you create a class, which I already have created, like my fake social studies class for this project. And I know that I want to use the video on the 60s. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this video from Crash Course, an awesome resource. They've expanded from just world history to all history, government, politics, and even other subjects. So if you need a video to use that your students are actually going to enjoy and pay attention to, I would highly recommend anything from the Crash Course. And so with Edpuzzle, I think I've kind of explained it in one of my other videos, but what I can do is I can crop the video. So I'm going to split it into two parts because 15 minutes is super long for students to watch a video, especially if it's like an independent assignment. And what I can do is I can, input a voiceover. I can input notes that I want my students to see. And my favorite part is that at any point in the video, I can choose to add a question. And it can be an open-ended question. It can be a multiple choice question, or I can just insert a comment so that I know that my students are paying attention. So I'm really excited to delve into creating this video assignment for the students, and then I'll also be able to demonstrate once I create the video how it would look for a student, which I'm going to do for my final project. So I'm really excited about my project. It's going well. Kind of have to find the time to be able to work on it. So just working on time management and scheduling it. But overall, it's going well, and I'm excited to see the final product. So thank you guys, and looking forward to hearing about all of your projects.